DDG episode 148. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
Dave, this might be one of the times where the internet doesn't want this episode to exist because every technical problem has been thrown at us before we recorded.
And for the record, they're all Michael's fault.
They're actually my fault, yeah. Like, my internet is doing real bad. Sorry, people on Twitch, if I'm, like, a pixelated block. And just, like, my computer settings are all messed up and weird. So we'll see if we can get through this probably brief episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not my fault. I granted, I came down here and I had a power blick at some time this week, and I didn't get down here until, like, 5 minutes before we start recording, and I had to turn my streaming PC on. So, like, when I had to turn it on, it takes forever to boot up.
Yeah. So Dave's Christmas wish list is a better computer.
Yeah, we'll see if that ever happens. But all right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that goes live every Thursday morning on podcast services. If you could leave us a review on those services, that would be super helpful. Sharing the show is helpful. Joining the community, any of those things. Those are all free things that you can do to help us grow. If you want to leave a review that, you actually like type out words, and I've been kind of lately really big on just feedback in general, like whether it's at work or I'm trying to give it to out in public, and just kind of be a nice person, like, hey, thanks for working, appreciate you, what you're doing, thanks for taking care of that. And if I can leave a review, as much as those survey things are annoying, if you take the extra 2 minutes to make sure that if you get good service, you reward it, it's super helpful. As well as the podcast that we provide to you a little bit is kind of a service. Like, it entertains you on your way to work, it entertains you when you're doing chores, so any kind of repercussion that we can get from that is always helpful, and it shows more people that the show is trending when there's more reviews on there. So if you are able to do that, please consider doing that. That's helpful. If you're watching us live on Twitch, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, you can subscribe to us. I think you get like 20% off a sub right now if you do it before the end of September. Gifted subs are 25% off, so if anybody wants to gift subs, that's a cool financial way that you can support us. You can also link your Amazon account with your Twitch account, get Prime Gaming, and use a free Twitch subscription on somebody of your choice. I have had a couple of people reach out to me. I don't know if Michael's had this or not, of asking us if we have any intentions of changing from Twitch due to all the terms of service changes and some of the stuff that Twitch has been going through. And tentatively right now, the answer to that is, this is without me even talking to Michael about it, but the answer to that is no.
Yeah, we would have to rebuild from the ground up on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't, it's not all like sunshine over on YouTube either.
Right. So, and there's also not a way for, I know a lot of you are like, the way that you show support to us is that you have Amazon Prime, and the way that you guys show support to us is by giving us your Amazon Prime Twitch Prime Gaming sub, and I don't want to take that away from anybody. So unless something nuclear bomb happens on the side of Twitch, I don't see us changing. And right now, between the two platforms, as I've been comparing them, the only like pro that I feel like YouTube has over Twitch currently right now is better access to it on public Wi-Fi. Whether if you're at a school or a university or somewhere else, they don't typically ban YouTube as a website you can go to, and Twitch is. So, like, that's the only, like, positive pro I can think of us going to YouTube. Growth on YouTube is very hard. Discoverability on both platforms is terribly hard. Yeah. So, but that's kind of where we're at with that. So,
but if Twitch keeps acting up, who knows? But we'll see.
I mean, we don't gamble, and again, I've never been somebody that's hid this from anybody. As a Twitch affiliate, our split is 50-50. Yeah. So that's why we say don't just give away your free $2.50 back to Jeff Bezos. If you have the ability to use the subscription, please use it. If you want to use it on us, great. If you want to use it on some other streamer that you like, and you hang out in their chat and you're part of their community, awesome. But just don't let it sit there. Yeah. But we don't make any money off ads, or if we do, it's pennies.
It's literally pennies. We do make off ads, and it's literally pennies. It's hilarious when I see that statement every like couple months.
Yeah. And most of it comes from, all of it, 99.99% of it comes from Prime subs. So as always, we appreciate it. Unless your name is Baddest Page, and the other maybe I'm lying when I say 99. Maybe it's like 97% because Paige is crazy.
Yes.
when he's available and around.
Yes, so. He's the Twitch sugar daddy when it comes to Twitch subs.
All right, so like I said, all the links to us to hang out with us and join our community, follow us on social media, follow us on those platforms, YouTube's, Twitch, TikToks of the world, is in the show notes. And we're going to throw it over to the news. And I always love when we have a follow-up to something we talked about the previous week.
And this is a follow-up I didn't think we would get right away. This is a pretty quick follow-up. So Rockstar was hacked last week, as we talked about, or Take-Two in general, because Take-Two also came out and was like, hey, your 2K accounts might be compromised. Change those passwords. But the hacker, or the reported hacker, has been charged / identified. It's a 17-year-old, so I don't believe we'll hear the name of this person anytime soon, though the hacker's like screen name, their internet handle, that was revealed. So the reason they were able to find this person so quick is a combination of they also hacked Uber, and they were currently on bail / probation for hacking Microsoft and NVIDIA a couple months ago. So this is a very prolific 17-year-old. But also what probably did this person in is when they publicly messaged Rockstar and said, do you want to buy back your source code? Probably the thing that did them in is trying to flip the stolen goods publicly. So yeah, this person we were talking about last week, like this person's probably going to do some time or get some crazy heavy fines, but we didn't know this person was also like potentially on like bail. I don't know exactly how it works over in London.
Yeah. Some form of probationary or waiting for charges to be finalized or formalized.
Yeah. So adding that on top of it is probably means this person is in some serious fucking trouble. But because they're 17 means there's probably a job lined up for them. In security very soon.
You're gonna serve 5 years, and when you walk out, like people are gonna be like, well, maybe after if you're in jail for 5 years, and you don't get to touch a computer, you're behind. Yeah. But this could be one of those things where he ends up getting time served, and he ends up working like the head of cybersecurity for Rockstar.
Yeah, or the British government is gonna be like, yo, you're really good at this.
He becomes MI6 and you never hear from him again.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing when you're like, oh, the 17-year-old is like tied into all of these major companies being hacked. But
this guy's gonna be a mission in the next Watch Dogs.
Yeah, if they were still live supporting Legion, he would fit right in there.
They actually kind of have been. They did a dedication to the Queen.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, they
so I mean, not that they're like doing anything, but that was kind of cool for them to go back and put out. I don't even know what that does or doesn't entail or take, but they wear, and again, I don't know the terms, but where the Queen's castle quarters is, they did something cool in Watch Dogs Legion for that. So
yeah,
but this I would actually be surprised if this guy ends up being like a side mission in GTA.
I mean, if it is, it would be the most Rockstar way where they would end up having a horrible conclusion for this person's story in the game. It wouldn't be like, this guy's great. It'd be something awful.
Be one of those epic scenes where you drive away from his apartment building and watch it just implode.
It would be something horrific if he gets included or the storyline gets added to the next Grand Theft Auto. But yeah, I was not expecting a follow-up this quick. But
I guess if you're gonna between and again, I don't know a whole lot about London and Europe and their internet laws and freedoms of speech and all that stuff, and but I would think it's easier to get somebody in the UK than it would be to get them in the United States in terms of accessibility and what they have access to and what's public records and what can be looked at. In a relatively air quote not as free country as the USA is.
Yeah, and also what probably didn't help is they were already aware. No, like they were already aware this person existed because of previous crimes.
It's probably, and again, I don't know any other way to explain it, but he probably has some type of signatures in his hacking, or techniques in his hacking that they can affiliate with the other things, and in terms of like a digital fingerprint, similar to years ago when they've caught certain bombers, like the Unabomber, had a certain way that he assembled a bomb.
Yeah, or they literally were just watching him since the last hack, and they're
Yeah.
like, let's just wait for this person to screw up. Like,
So-
they could have literally just been like bugged an apartment, and are just like, let's just wait. He's gonna screw up. He's 17.
Again, they probably have a little bit more police liberties over there than we have over here.
It's
in
hard
terms of what they may or may not be allowed to do, or track, or listen on, or keep a file of, or something.
Yeah. We clearly don't know exactly how strict or
Right.
not strict that stuff is, but if you had committed a crime previously, I'm sure there's a lot of ways they can work around the system to track people right away. Or Rockstar just threw the right amount of money at the right people and were like, figure this out. And, if anyone
and for the
has
record,
money,
the dude emailed them, so like that's it.
Yeah. And because of the age, being like a 17-year-old hacker, there's probably a lot of things they could have like figured, broke down of like, oh, okay, we can. The maturity level might not have been there based on trying to sell the source code back to Rockstar. But yeah, we'll see how this unfolds. He was part of a hacker group, so we don't know if that means that group is going to go out there and do some more stuff in retaliation. This stuff is always very strange, how this stuff goes down. But we'll move on to the next story, which, I don't know, Dave, when this was announced yesterday, I was expecting it to be bigger. I think what we're going to go over, but like the industry just kind of were like, eh. But I think it's potentially big news. E3 has announced their setup for next year, and they have dated the event as opposed to what they've done the last like 2-3 years of like, we're doing it next summer. We actually have dates. So E3 2023, this is going to be the first E3 ran by ReedPop, who handle like New York Comic Con, PAX, C2E2. So this is like, if anyone can put a convention together, it would be ReedPop. And E3 2023 is going to run from Tuesday, June 13th to Friday, June 16th. 13th and 14th are only industry days, so only business days. And then, so it's Tuesday only, and then, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday is a half day. So it's half business, half consumer, and then the last, like Thursday, Friday, are going to be for consumers only, if I didn't butcher that right now. I like had to look at a calendar because it's like basically it's split down the middle with like the middle day being for both sides of the industry, so business people and consumers. And they kind of talked a little bit about some of their plans for it. The business side is going to be in a separate hall, and they're promising like quieter spaces that will allow for more like private demos, but with room to like network. So basically like more comfortable booths and just spaces for people to just kind of hang out, communicate, do the business that they have to do. And then the other hall is where the spectacle is going to be, where the E3 hall that the consumers are going to be able to attend, and it's basically where you'll get your crazy booths, your stage shows, your more
the people on stage with MCs and hype people and doing all that stuff, and then the other stuff could be like, what would be really cool is like years ago, like Michael or I could actually do an interview on the E3 show floor. Like 3 or 4 years ago, we used to be able to do an interview. We'd sit on a couch and you'd go, I don't even know, 15 feet away from where the front desk was, and you could have a conversation with somebody. And that changed over time. Some of it would depend on the booth.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there was a secluded private areas, that you could go to that were protected. They weren't like sealed off that you couldn't see what was going on, but you were protected.
Yeah. And then when it comes to the consumers, that's probably where you'll have like when Resident Evil 7 was announced, they had like a diorama, like a full-size replica of the house from the game there. Mafia, I think Mafia 3 had like one of the cooler
Mm-hmm.
booths where they just basically brought like a corner.
Activision had that great booth one year of like the 4 games, and it was like, or 5 games. It was like Destiny, Black Ops, Rock Band, Skylanders.
Say when they had like 2
else.
floors. It was like two separate floors.
There was 2 floors, and it was like 4. Each corner was dedicated to a game, and then upstairs was dedicated to the press.
Yeah.
So like they would bring you down to play multiplayer, but you would go upstairs to do your interviews or your quote unquote hands off stuff, or like not open to the public stuff, and like that worked really well. Ubisoft has done similar things where they have the show floor, then they have behind the desk, or they have like private rooms where it's almost the same games that are on the sales floor, but I call it the sales floor, sorry, show floor. But that you like when Ubisoft was doing a lot of their squad games and all their more complex games, they always kind of had a coach with you. Like you'd be like in a group of 4 or 6 people, and there'd be a coach, and the coach would be just navigating that group of 5 or 6 people. Those coaches would not be out on the show floor.
Yeah, they would be
they just kind of let them go
in this office area.
Yeah.
Usually on a headset, doing like the actual Ubisoft voiceover things that you would see in the game, where you have like the developer who's like super into it, like throwing out all the buzzwords while you're playing.
And this format is kind of what you and I have been talking about for years that we'd want. Like, let me as a press person see the hype and the excitement around something cool, and the glitz and the glamour and the stars and the shiny lights and the cool presentations. Like, let me see that. But when it comes down to me wanting to play the game and get a good understanding of the game, I want to do that ideally in a 1-on-1 scenario, or like a 5-on-1 scenario, like a smaller group, like a round table format, not fighting, or not. And fighting is not the correct word, but not navigating the public and trying to get from point A to point B and feeling rushed. And so like this looks very interesting in terms of what they're trying to do. Like you said months ago now, Reed Pop is a very high standard of it. And the thing that I took away the most on Twitter that I saw was, for the PR people that we have relationships with and the PR people that I follow on Twitter, they were happy with what they were presented with.
Yeah.
Like the deck that they were given and shown like how this is going to work, they seemed very happy with it. And companies were like, I even saw a couple of them say like, we've already booked for hotels for June, like we're there.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to be the case a year ago.
Yeah, like whatever they pitched, the thing I'm more curious about them pulling off is the idea of like, because E3's always been 2 halls, with like the corridor, the concourse hall being where business is done, but the other, the actual 2 main halls are where you have like the crazy booths, stage shows. The idea that they're gonna like split those into 2 separate like worlds, basically. I'm wondering how exactly they're gonna work, especially on that day where it's like consumers and industry, in terms of like how they're gonna have. Are we gonna have like companies that have presence in both halls? Like, how are those?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I don't know if you noticed, Dave. A lot of times when you would go to booths, for like the bigger developer or publishers, a lot of times, you'll have actual developers demoing games, but a good chunk of them are actually like paid actors, because they just go to like temp agencies and get people to work. So I wonder if that's where we'll see like a difference in terms of like, if it's in the public space, you're only going to get temp workers and the paid actors to demo the game. And then when you're in the industry one, that's where the actual developers are going to be, because they have specific messages that they want to convey to the media. So I wonder if that's
the same concept that was kind of already happening when it was sort of open to the public anyways, or when it was like people would like, so, and you and I saw this, and we were very fortunate with our PS Nation days where everywhere we went, we had an appointment.
Yeah.
Like everywhere we went, we had a scheduled appointment, no matter what. And I know some people that didn't have that. Like there would be times where they would just kind of go and try to get an appointment while they're there. All of our stuff was pre-planned. All of our stuff was pre-scheduled, pre-planned, and calendared out. And then there would be a couple times where if there was something that we weren't aware that was going to be there, or we missed the invite, or we missed the appointment somehow, that we would then try to go and say, hey, is there anything you can do? But I do feel like some people, press or special guest, which is what I guess it used to be, industry, it would get like an industry pass. They would try to do similar things. So I think in terms of if DDG decides to go to E3, which is still an if, a lot of it would be contingent upon, I don't know if I want to go there and just freeform and free for all it. It would, you and I both have the wherewithal and the physical ability to fly in Tuesday morning and fly out Wednesday night. Like, we can do it.
When they announced this setup, that's immediately what popped in my head of like, cool, we could get this in and out.
Especially coming East Coast to West Coast, where we could both leave at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning East Coast time, get there, and find, like, I would almost be willing to spend a higher amount on a hotel room walkable from the convention center for one night.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we fly home the next, like
catch
take a red eye home. Yeah. So, like, that's intriguing to me, and that's intriguing to us to see that, and to get to get in and get out, and to help build more of the foundation of the DDG brand of what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to cover things. And again, to see some people that haven't seen us since we launched DDG. They still communicate with us on email, and they talk to us, whether it's on social medias or, through game requests or anything like that. But to, shaking hands and kissing babies again would be great.
Yeah. I wonder, so usually during, like, regular E3, it would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And Thursday, it was really hard to get an appointment for Thursday because most of the people would be like, I'm fucking gone. Like, I'm leaving Thursday.
Right.
I wonder what's going to happen with this E3 when the industry are gone after the first 2 days. So, like, I wonder if people are going to still be taking appointments during the consumer days just because you're there. I wonder if it's just going to be outside appointments, because E3 has grown to where, like, we were taking appointments at Figueroa or whatever, and the Marriott.
Well, I hope that this presentation reduces that.
I do too, because it would be nice.
Like, I would love for them to stay on the, and I don't begrudge any company for doing it either way, but going to the hotel room, going off site, even something as great as it was and as cool as it was, but even something as like Devolver Digital.
No, don't insult Devolver. That was
I'm
beautiful.
not insulting it. I understand that, but it wasn't the easiest thing to get to all the time. In terms of, you had an appointment at the South Hall, you had to go out there, and then you had to come back into the halls again. Like, getting in and out of the halls sometimes isn't fun.
Oh no, I would literally just be like, "Oh, sorry, my 1:30. Tinsley PR needs me at Devolver Digital at 2, so I'm gonna cancel."
Again, I'm using them as an example. They're right outside of E3, like they're
like,
right there.
But
going to the hotel, going to a hotel room, going up a couple of floors, trying to get into a certain part of the hotel room.
There was like 1 year Activision and
Riggs,
Lucid Sound. They were in a hotel across the street, and I think me and you ended up having to go there like multiple times. Yeah, within a day period. That stuff was kind of bothersome, but eventually they fixed it, and they're like, "Oh, we're just doing it the Monday before E3, so like pick up your badges and then come to the hotel." That was nice. So I'm wondering how that stuff's gonna go. E3 or ReedPop, whoever made this press release, did say like they are going to be working with partners offsite, or they're going to support their partners that are offsite during that week, and then they also said they're going to coordinate for live events and presentations. So I don't know where that's going to go exactly, because...
Do you think we're getting any Monday press conference feeling back again?
Microsoft will probably be the only one. Right now is probably them negotiating with PlayStation and Nintendo. Like, could you do something? But even then, Nintendo stopped doing presentations several years ago. Yeah, live. So I don't see Nintendo returning to like, hey, we rented out the...
Well, actually, live's a bad word. Like live's a bad... In person.
Yes. Yeah, like, I don't see them doing a stage show. So I think it would end up being Microsoft just being like, here's a Microsoft press conference, here's the Bethesda press conference. Maybe you can get...
I think Ubisoft would. Like, I think Ubisoft would do their press conference again. But even then, that was if
far.
They could figure out... It was far. Yeah, I was going to say, if they could figure out a way to, like... And I don't know what logistics or setup of this would or wouldn't be, but if they could figure out a way, like on Tuesday, like Ubisoft gets half the hall for their press conference of the public hall that's not open to the public until Thursday anyways.
If
they could figure out a way to have it
there,
that would be great. That's kind of crazy. And because when we went to, I don't know if you were when I went to PSX one year in San Francisco, they used both floors of it really very well. They had one floor that had all the games and the presentation. Again, it was only Sony, but then the second floor was like the the event, like where the panels were, where the press conference was, where the Street Fighter Championship fighting was. That was like the stage, and then the first floor was like the TV screens and the booths and everything like that.
Well, PSX, when it was in Anaheim, I think I went 2 years. I think it was in Anaheim 2 years. Literally on the floor, technically, there's the stage with the audience, or the seats and everything, and then you just pass a divider wall and you have the
I
show
heard that's
floor.
how it was like in Vegas too. Like they did the presentation like that Saturday morning, and they just opened up the curtain, and the rest of it was the show floor.
Yeah, like that would be something, especially because the way they're going to do the hall, because I would imagine the industry hall won't have the crazy booths, because that would be just really expensive, and if you're going to do the crazy booths, you're going to do it for the public.
I would love to see this cubicle format again, like just huge, like 6 foot tall, 8 foot tall cubicle walls of like it is in the basement concourse, where it was just like you go in, it's like an office, it's like a 10 by 10, or
you literally would walk by glass cubicles and you'd be like, I'm seeing that game tomorrow. I don't have an appointment for that, but if I stand out here long enough, the PR person's going to come out and be like, leave,
because you couldn't really get in there anyways. Like you could not get into that part of the show floor without a press badge. Like they didn't let public in there anyways.
My first year, I just walked around there because I didn't have a lot of appointments, and I was just like, I could just bum a game demo off someone, because once you're there,
it just it looks promising. So this like from what I'm the little bit that I'm hearing, well, I'm sure we'll see how the media credential approval process goes through. But again, like Michael and I are on the same wavelength. We haven't even talked about it, but like I could totally find like a cheap flight, cheap-ish flight at like 5 or 6 in the morning.
Even if they're strict with like the media stuff, we know enough people that like we could if they're doing appointments during the public days, we could potentially just buy a public pass and then still book appointments. It would be a little tricky, potentially in terms of getting waived into certain rooms, but that's also a possibility. Though I would probably want to just do the, obviously the industry stuff, just because, we're fancy, we're accustomed to it. So one thing that I did find interesting is, or two things. They specifically said that they will showcase indie developers and games, but in the concourse hall between everything. So the area Dave was talking about. But it wasn't clear if that means it's just that part is going to be open to the public. So then the indie games will actually be seen by more people. But I also, when I heard that, I was just like, so it's going to be skippable. Like, depending on how security's set up, it might be... Yeah. I see why they would do that, of like, they put it up to the side, because if you put it on the public show floor, the indie booths, every indie, like, appointment I went to, the person presenting to me is the developer of that game, and they didn't have PR handlers, which means most of the time they were there for 12 hours on their feet demoing their game. So I understand why you'd want to just kind of put them off to the side, but not away from the public.
Again makes it more chaotic for us. Like if there's a game, especially like there's tons and tons of indie games that are in your wheelhouse, and if there's a game that you want to see, and as long as it's truly not open to the public on Tuesday and Wednesday, like truly not open to the public on Tuesday and Wednesday, like that's going to be the thing that we're never going to know that until we see it. But I feel like an indie that spells a little bit of disaster for me if we went down there like Thursday afternoon. Like I think that'd be chaos.
It would probably be chaos, or the indies would just bail, because that happens too a lot with some of this stuff, towards like, no, it's not worth it.
Yeah, to your point though, they can't send here's the deal too with some of these devs, like they can't send their second dev kit down to the concourse hall and keep the other one in the press booth, because guess what? They don't have 2 dev kits.
Or they're running it off like a random ass laptop, which means it's going to be breaking. Because I've had demos break on me, and then they like panic, start coding immediately because they notice like, oh shit, this isn't working. So I wonder how that's going to work. And then another thing, which I think they did this specifically because they know media people and like gaming nerds will pick up on it. ReedPop is promised to bring back Kensha Hall. So Dave probably wouldn't be too familiar with this, but basically Kensha Hall was where all the weird gaming peripherals were at. It was like downstairs like space. It almost, I think it's like a parking garage kind of now.
Yeah, I have no idea what this is.
So you know how like currently E3 or previous E3s, you would have like that back row of just random fucking gaming accessories and peripherals. Yeah. That used to be like an entire show floor of just random shit, of just like, here's weird steering wheels, here's weird peripherals for your console. And it's actually where like Guitar Hero first was demoed, because it was like a weird gadget. So like weird gaming and non-gaming gadgets would be in Kensha Hall, and they're bringing that back, which is such a weird thing for them to try and prioritize. But I understand they're trying
especially
to bring
when the concourse floors weren't at capacity the last couple of years in the first place. Yeah. I think filling up that would be a higher priority. But now if you're going to put the obscure stuff at a quote-unquote off-site, not off-site thing, you're going to put the indies in a concourse hall. Like, this public hall could look a little barren the first year.
And I wonder if that's a COVID thing of, like, we need to spread it all out.
I think this is what we talked about a couple months ago. Like, ReedPop is planting seeds of, like, they're going to sell potential. Like, the first thing that they're selling, and they're already showing it, is like, it's September and they have a plan.
They have a date.
And they have a public plan, like, that they've sent to PR companies. So that's kudos number one. And then number two will be the evolution of this plan, and then getting things to pick up, and then the execution of the plan to where other PR companies or leave, or there's a lot of, you know, publicity coming out of E3, and the other companies are like, damn, we probably should have gone. Like, we need to go next year. And then ReedPop learns what worked and what didn't work, what helped and what didn't help, and then they bring out another plan and they evolve it again. And like, so this is a long-term play, and ReedPop has proven success because they've done some of the PAX stuff, right?
They've done all the PAX, yeah.
Yeah. And I think they do Comic-Cons, don't they?
Yeah, New York Comic-Con, C2E2.
Yeah. So they've got a track record, and now they've got another high brand name. Whether you like it or don't like it, E3 is a brand name in the video game industry, and they have the potential to really kind of build a new foundation for this their own way.
Yeah. And now, you know, Jeff Keighley said he's going to do another in-person event during E3 time, but now
he can get him on board.
Which it sounds like,
the halls.
It sounds like that probably won't happen because he's like really anti-ESA right now. But again, this is ReedPop, so maybe ReedPop can be the ones like, you're not dealing with the ESA, you're dealing with us. But now you would imagine, you know, Keighley will probably target his Summer Game Fest around this date, because that's what you have to do if, like, you're going to get a lot of the industry in LA for a certain period of time.
He'll probably hit Monday hard.
Yeah, or he'll
really
finish
hard.
the week where it's like, hey, the consumers took over the show floor. Summer Game Fest is just down the block.
Just extend your hotel stay in 24 hours and come see me.
Yeah. And then, you know, you'll be able to see Kojima and whatever Keighley has.
Yeah, it's definitely intriguing. I was interested, and I was more surprised when I saw this that they already have this much in place.
Yeah, I think that's key to it in terms of what they'd previously done the last couple of years of like, yeah, we're doing one, don't worry, and then never any details until they cancel it a couple months before. So the fact that they have dates, they have plans. The only thing we don't know is how much they're going to overcharge the consumers, because E3 is an expensive convention for very little that you were getting those 2-3 years that they were open to the public. I remember talking to people that, you know, bought public badges and then being like, so you're having fun? And they're like, yeah, I waited 4 hours for this game, and then I waited 4 hours for this game, and then I was done for the day. And I was like, you spent $300 for that? And they were like, yeah. And for them, it was worth it, but I don't think at the current, or the way E3 was working for the public, it seemed like something you would do once. Like, there is no reason for you to do multiple times, because if you had to wait in a line the entire day and you only got like 2 games in, like that's worth nothing. Like that's not worth the amount of money that they were charging. So hopefully they make it like better for like the consumers when they, like the public when they get in there. I just don't know exactly what you do to make it worthwhile. ReedPop will probably do artist alleys. They probably will do a show floor with like shops and stuff, because that's like their bread and butter. So we'll probably get some of that for the public, which could be cool.
Yeah.
So that's the news. E3 might be happening. Hopefully, me and Dave can go, but we need you guys to review our podcast, give us 5 stars, share with your friends, because we got to look all pretty now to impress ReedPop.
Yeah. All right. Again, as we're getting into the the end of September, like nothing's really being delayed because either your game's coming out this year or it's not at this point in time. So thankfully, it's been a while since we had something that's been delayed. So what we're playing and watching. So I'll go first. I did watch a lot of football on Sunday. But I did start, as most of you guys saw in the Facebook group, Twitter, and Discord, I did start Horizon Forbidden West. And I was playing today before we were recording. A little extra time off work. Angela, she's got a little COVID going again, but so some stuff got changed at home. She's fine. So I had a little bit extra time. I started it before I knew any of that too, by the way. But so I'm about 21 hours in level. I think I just got a trophy for like level 20, like it happened like an hour through 2 hours ago. So I'm enjoying it. I think that there's a little bit too much dialogue in the game.
Yeah.
Like a lot of talking in the game. A lot of that, like what I initially really liked about the first one, like the sub trees, like where you can ask questions, you can kind of not necessarily control the conversation, but dictate the direction the conversation goes. So I find myself like wanting to kind of hear everything that's going on, but at the same time wanting to get to the next thing. So I'm kind of in that delicate push and pull standpoint of where I want to know more about, to get a really good, firm understanding, a good grasp of the story, what's going on, what happened. There's also could be with me playing the first one so close, like I played the first one like in February of this year, so not very long ago. It feels very much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like very, very much the same. And if I hadn't played more today, I probably would have harped on it a little bit more, because like I got to a level where an area where I was doing a lot of swimming. And like swimming's new to Horizon. It's not new to video games, obviously, but there was like this entire environment, like this desert environment, and then this underwater casino, I think is what it was actually. Well, yeah, the lighting and the effects and everything, it looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks really, really good. But the same problem I had with the first one versus the second one, the traversal, it just seems very barren, and it looks just like the first game. The story is fascinating. The character development and what I think that they're building is super great. The dialogue can just be a little bit exhausting.
Yeah, so Sarah had finished the DLC this year and then jumped right into Horizon or Forbidden West, and the dialogue, the sameness kind of was bothersome to where I could totally see your point from watching her, play the DLC and then jumping into
I think that part of it at the beginning was they were refreshing your memory, and also building to the possibility that you hadn't played the first game, and I understand that, and I respect that, and again, like, and I'm putting the caveat on there, is I played this 6 months ago, like I played the first one 6 months ago, so it was very fresh in my mind. The mechanics were very fresh in my mind, and if it like, I'll probably have a different feeling when I play God of War next month, because it's been so long since I played God of War. Yeah,
and that's why I'm constantly debating on, like, do I run through God of War again? Or
I don't want to, because I don't want to feel like I'm feeling right now with Horizon. And it's not Horizon's good, bad, or indifferent. It's just that I might be a little bit Horizon fatigued.
Yeah, and that's what happened here, to where Sarah, I think, put like 10 hours in and was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. And she decided to go back to it, just because you probably shouldn't have played them back to back. And that's what you're discovering. That's what I'm debating with like God of War, of just like, I want to play the first one again, but I don't want to be tired.
So this pretty much affirms the fact that I won't play God of War 1 again before God of War Ragnarok comes out. Like, that won't happen. I don't ever and I won't, before when and if Spider-Man 2 comes out, I won't go back and play Spider-Man or Miles Morales. Like, I won't do it. Because it's just it's a lot, and I'm taking it like I don't even remember when I posted. I'd have to look, but I mean, I'm 20 hours in, and I started it like 5 days ago. So like, that's 4 hours a day. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Even for me, that's a lot. And I'm fascinated by the story. I want to know what happens next. I want to get from the same problem I had with the first game. I want to get from point A to point B as fast as possible, and I don't really care about that little shiny thing over there, or I'm not consistently like always picking up every single thing. but then at the same time, I'm worried that I'm missing out on something. Like, is there, I'm wondering, like, is there that special armor component that I don't know about? Because when I played it for so late and I streamed it, a lot of you guys, listeners and viewers, were like, hey, don't forget to get the armor core here. Don't forget, like, there was things that they were reminding me to do that were okay because it was 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's not necessarily as in depth with that. But the story they're telling is the narrative that they're telling is fascinating to me. Like, it's super, super cool.
I'm still kind of on a boat of, like, Horizon would have been good without, like, it would have been better if it was a one and done. But I'm weird. I
actually like to know, like, I'm learning. I love the fact that we're learning more about Gaia now. Like,
that's great. Like, they're doing a really good job with the story from what I saw. But Horizon was one of those ones where the setup at the end of 1 for 2 was the kind of setup where I was like, I kind of would have just like one and done, but I understand franchises and all that stuff. So
yeah, but this is the same thing that I was like. I got to that, like, when I stopped playing Horizon years ago, I was so close to that point of, like, okay, it got me. I was so close to the hook, and I missed it by like 2 hours when I took my break. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, like, as an example, with a little bit you were watching with Sarah, like, and I'm trying to speak as vaguely as I can, but did Sarah find Gaia? Do you remember, like, a large yellow hologram?
Yes.
Okay, because, like, when certain things happen in the game at a certain point again, where more characters start showing up and they find things that they've been looking for, it really started to take off for me. Of like, okay, I want to know what happens next.
Yeah, and I think she might have stopped playing shortly after that, and that was just because it was literally like played all through the DLC. I think she actually like did the last scene, did the DLC, and then jumped into Horizon. So it was like a lot in like a week time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of cloudy, and also because I wasn't playing it, like, I don't have the memory of it.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm like that with video games. Like,
you're watching her play, but you're also playing on the Switch at the same time, or something.
Potentially, or I'm on the couch and I'm on my phone at the same time. I'm not like completely like focused in on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I mean, I really wanted to diligently try to play, a new game, get back on the saddle of, like, completing a game. So, like, this is on the radar. Gotham Knights is on the radar. God of War is on the radar. So those are 3 more games, and then there's a couple of other things that I got to clean up. I do still have a hope to hit my goal of 12 games, and so we'll see where we're at. So, yeah, that's been a lot of that's been my weekend. So.
For me, won't bore people too much with the first 2 games, Rumbleverse and Modern Warfare 2, the beta. I played Modern Warfare 2 pretty much every day the beta was available last week. Still enjoying it. Just to reiterate from last week, like, it is definitely a continuation of the first one in terms of, like, style and feel, but it doesn't feel like it's better than the first one. Like, I don't feel I see any, like, big jumps that you would hope for going from one game to the to the sequel, which Modern Warfare 1 was a really good fucking game. So it's not like they need to, like, do something, like, completely different or try and outshine the first one. But at the same time, it would be cool if they somehow found a way to do it. So I don't know if they've quite found that, or if this is just like, hey, if we're back into the phase of, like, hey, this is just good Call of Duty. Like, hey, how's Call of Duty this year? It's as good as the last Call of Duty. As opposed to what they've been the last couple of years, where it's like good Call of Duty, bad Call of Duty, worse Call of Duty. Yeah. If they at least hit the stride to where it's like, it's just Call of Duty, like, that is an improvement for the franchise, but I don't know if it's the most interesting.
Have you tried, I didn't play any of it, but I'm hearing decent things. Have you tried third person mode at all?
No, I never really, they've messed with third person in previous games. It just never looks right for me. So I just completely stayed away from it this time.
You're not a huge fan of third person shooters in general, right?
No, I actually prefer third person shooters than first person.
Like, no, but I mean, like, a pure shooter.
Oh, pure shooter.
Not a third person shooting mechanic. Like, not an Uncharted, or, like, I'm talking about.
No,
like,
I don't mind them. Like, a PUBG.
Did you play Division? Okay, PUBG. Okay.
Yeah, I played a lot of PUBG, and
Okay.
I appreciated third person. So yeah, I'm pretty okay with it. But the problem with Call of Duty doing third person when they have is it's Call of Duty, to where it's just too baked in my brain that
Right.
like it's Call of Duty.
I think that part of the reason why this exists is they're going after the Fortnite player.
Yeah, they definitely probably want to go after like the Fortnite people and try and bring them in. But
because this will totally be in Warzone 2.
Oh yeah,
this third person mode will totally be in Warzone 2. If they didn't already announce
I was gonna say, like, for all we know, it's actually there now. And then the main game that I've been playing is Immortality. So this is on Game Pass. It's on everything, I believe, like PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. This is from the developers of Her Story. So Her Story was a game where you're going through interrogation footage to try and figure out like what crime was committed and then who committed the crime. Immortality takes it a step further to where you're trying to solve a mystery about an actress who just kind of disappears. They did 2 movies in like the 70s that never released, and then a movie in the 90s that never released. You're given no information on like what to expect, what to look for. You're just given footage from all 3 movies and behind the scenes footage from all 3 movies. And how you collect the footage is they start you off with a couple different clips that you can fast forward and rewind. And you can pause at any time and then use a little cursor that can click certain objects. And then when you click that object, it will send you to a random piece of footage that object is either in or a similar object is in. So you were constantly jumping from timeline to timeline, or from movie to movie, behind the scenes footage from different time periods, and kind of just trying to piece together a couple different things. Various like characters from both the movies and like the actors that are playing it, because again, you have behind the scenes footage. What may have happened to them over time, but then also like, because there's actual scenes from these movies, you're also piecing together those movies. So there's a ton of footage, and because the game is so like open-ended in terms of like, we're not even going to really tell you what mystery you're trying to solve, which characters to focus on. You can kind of make your own thing of it in terms of just like, I wonder what happened to this one character, and is there enough footage in this game for me to piece together the character and the actor, like what their fate was.
This is that game that came out like a month ago that like did critically very well, like surprised wise, right?
Yeah. It's really fascinating. The acting in it is really good, and it's so easy to just get caught down like rabbit holes at different points where you kind of want to see how much footage they actually shot of each of these movies. And, you know, none of the movies were finished like canonically, like the movies weren't finished. And so you're trying to piece together like, I wonder what the story is for this movie. Here are the scenes I have. Here's the behind the scenes footage of the actors talking about scenes or rehearsing the scenes. And just trying to like read the characters and piece together the story, or even kind of like make your own story at a certain point, is just utterly fascinating. And I think that the thing that helps this game so much is the acting is really fucking good. And it's shot really well. Especially when you're talking about them mimicking film from the 70s and films from the 90s. They captured those time periods really well. To where, you know, when you see an actor who's supposed to be in the 70s and you see the same actor or director in the 90s, they don't look out of place. It doesn't look too, you know, like, that this person wasn't aged up properly or something like that. They do a good job of like fitting them in a time period, getting the costumes right. There's like 1 or 2 bad wigs, but like after playing it, I'm like, canonically, there's a reason why the wigs are bad. You know, like you try and like make justifications for yourself. The only thing that might frustrate some people is it's very open-ended. It's kind of hard to tell when you do hit the end. I know if you unlock a certain scene, you will get credits, but it's how long is it going to take you to find that scene? And when you do find it, is it going to be...
feel like it's closure?
Yeah, like, is it going to... is it something you need right then? Is it going to make sense with you? Or are you going to get that ending, get credits, and go, fuck, okay, I need to go back and then pick different items and see if I can get more footage to where I can make this make sense. But I really, really enjoy... This is definitely something like if you're into mysteries and stuff and you don't really want to be bothered by, like, annoying gameplay mechanics. It's really fascinating.
Sounds like something Angela could play.
Yeah, and it works.
She loves her murder mysteries and her mystery stuff, and so
yeah, and it works really well with the controller. That was the one thing I was worried about. Like, her story never came to consoles, as far as I know, because it was built so much on, like, keyboard and mouse control. They adapted this to controller really well. So if you
you said, like, this is called Indescendant, or what's it called?
Immortality,
and it's on
Game
currently
Pass.
on Game Pass.
Game
it's
Pass.
Not on PlayStation.
It is on PlayStation.
It is on PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation, PC, and Xbox Game Pass. I picked it up on Game Pass, but if it wasn't on Game Pass, I probably would have bought it because...
Yeah. Like I said, critically, it was getting really, really, really good reviews and lots of chatter when it first came out.
Yeah, the first time we played it, I think we ended up playing it for like 4 hours, and it was like really late at night, and it was just like, all right, we need to go to bed. Click one more scene. And then we click one more scene, and we're like, oh, that's...
45 minutes later.
We're like, oh, we've seen that lamp in the background. Click the lamp. Brings us to an important scene. Like, fuck, okay, click the lamp again. And then thinking the lamp is going to be the key for us to, like, figure out the mystery was, like, a funny thing. And then and it looks like there probably are ways to, like, cheese your way to the ending. Because it's a movie, you have, like, the clapboard. You know, like scene 5B, take 1. The clapboard. Yeah. If you want, you could just focus on the clapboard the entire time, and you will get
and put them in order.
Yeah, you will get a majority of the footage you need by just the clapboard being there. But there's so many things in the background that, like, you can end up pulling different parts of the story. So yeah, highly recommend that, especially if you have Game Pass. There's like no reason not to pick it up. But that is pretty much it for playing and watching.
So looks like we got one question from the community. So again, please feel free to send those in anytime you're thinking about them. Don't always have to wait for our Facebook post or our Twitter post. You can just send them to us. You can post them in the Facebook group as a question. You can send them to me as a message. You can send them hashtag AskDigitalDays on Facebook or on Twitter. So Stefan writes a question for the podcast and for the community. Which streaming service based upon the quality of the programming only is the best? Personally, I think Amazon is hitting it out of the park recently. So what do you think, Michael? What's your go-to streaming app right now?
What if I told you I'm at the point where I'm almost considering canceling pretty much all of my streaming services because I just don't feel like any of them are really doing too well right now? And I only say that because there's too many. I've thought about
that too. Yeah, I've thought about that too in terms of like, let's just cancel everything and then let's find out what we want to watch and let's reactivate as we want to watch.
That's where I'm at right now. Because
it's like, okay, we finished this show season. We caught up on this season. Let's cancel this and let's turn it back on again. Now, the only caveat that I have is Owen. Mm-hmm. and he bounces all over the place. So, I would probably say, for me personally, recently, it's been Netflix, and it's been Cobra Kai. It's been like I just watched a Nolan Ryan documentary, that on Netflix that I thought was really good. I've watched a couple other things recently on Netflix. I find myself kind of going through Netflix a little bit more often. Some of their Netflix original movies, even though they're kind of cheesy and kind of goofy, but they're like, hey, I got home from work. It's 8 o'clock at night. I don't want to play video games. I'm going to find something to watch that's like an hour and a half long. And they fit that niche for me. When I go through like Hulu to try to watch a movie, like that's a pain. I like Hulu because any of the shows that are starting to come back in the fall are going to be on Hulu the next day. Mm-hmm. So I can just watch them immediately then.
I cancel Hulu every like 3 months. Like that's one of those ones I wait for my shows to come back air, and then I cancel Hulu.
Yeah, I don't pay for it because I have family that has cable still, but like ESPN probably gets clicked every day in my house whether it's Pardon the Interruption or Around the Horn or the stuff in the morning or just Sports Center, whether or even Monday Night Football, like it's probably it is clicked multiple times per day, and so and then Disney Plus is up there right now too because we haven't started watching it yet, but Andor looks very, very good. The Star Wars thing that's supposed to take place before the events of Rogue One, and She-Hulk is great. I haven't really mentioned that I've been watching She-Hulk, but Angela and I have been watching She-Hulk, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, She-Hulk is really good because it feels different from everything else that they've done, which is why I think WandaVision was the best MCU show, is because it was significantly different than everything else.
I kind of like how they're handling the fourth wall. I think she's doing a great job breaking the fourth wall at the right times.
Mm-hmm. It's not like the as-in-your-face Deadpool way, even though I love Deadpool.
Yeah. And then I just saw another ad that like the Mighty Ducks Game Changer Season 2 is coming. So like
I forgot that was a show. It's been a long time.
It has.
Yeah.
And I think I saw something on Twitter and I was like, hey, Ange. She's like, oh, really cool.
Are they going to have to recast the kids because they're now going to be 45?
I don't know. But so, but I don't really think there's a streaming service that we currently don't have. And so like that, again, one kid in college and one kid that's still getting on their feet as an adult. So whatever we can like allow for sharing and things like that are happening, because like I don't even think there's cable in my daughter's dorm.
Probably not.
So
probably not. Well, it's like I kept Netflix around for the longest time because for a while, up until a couple years ago, they grandfathered you into whatever price you were in, but they got rid of that like probably 4 years ago.
Hulu just announced the price increase too. But
Disney Plus did one as well.
Well, we have Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN like all bundled together.
Yeah.
So like I think I'm paying like $20 for all three of those, and I get the ad-free Hulu within there. So like I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Like I might end up doing that and just get rid of Netflix because Netflix is $17 now.
Yeah.
And Chicago adds a Netflix tax on top of that. So it's just like, it's like $20 for Netflix. So I look at the Hulu, Disney, and even though I don't watch ESPN, it's still like, that's significantly more content.
But the stuff that ESPN Plus has been doing, you might get more Bulls games or more Bulls coverage because they're starting to do a little bit more like independent team coverage of that it might be only like a 15-minute show, but it might be worth you clicking it while you're making dinner.
Yeah. So there is stuff, and I get, sometimes work's very quiet and you just want to listen to something. But yeah, like I would honestly say like HBO Max was killing it until recently when they decided to do the tax write-off and burn a bunch of shows.
Yeah.
Amazon probably, because I got into Invincible and The Boys this year, is pretty good, but like Netflix is like really low on my list now at this point, to where like I was at my parents' this past weekend and I had to have a conversation with them of like I'm gonna cancel Netflix. Like I know you guys still use it, but like I think it's time, guys, that you get your own Netflix account. Because
I think the thing that's hurting Netflix right now in comparison to the other streaming services, and there's been a couple articles over the last couple weeks talking about they might change this, is that Netflix believed in the binge, and they would release all of Cobra Kai. That's the most recent thing. They released all 10 episodes of Cobra Kai on the same day. And I'm sure that they probably saw a huge increase for September, and then they see a decrease for October because people paid for a month and they drop out. So they've been talking about doing the every week thing like Disney Plus is doing, and I believe Amazon's doing the same thing with their Lord of the Rings show right now. And the retention that Amazon has gotten from the Lord of the Rings and from the NFL contract is ridiculous.
Yeah, because the NFL games are free, right?
No, you have to have Amazon
I'm thinking
Prime.
of Apple TV. Apple TV games
you have
free.
to have Amazon Prime to watch Thursday Night Football or Twitch.
Yeah.
It's on Twitch, which is fascinating to me. So yep, that's kind of where the streaming services things are at.
Since it's on Prime and Twitch, does that mean you could just watch the game and commentary over it on Twitch?
I don't know. I know that Khalif for Spawn on Me does. He had some deal with either with Twitch or with the NFL.
I think now you can watch the NFL game. So it means if there's a Lions game,
you have to have permission.
We should look into that. And if the Lions ever hit a Thursday night,
and I don't think you're allowed to show their ads.
No, I think they have a special thing in Prime Video because you can watch Prime movies on stream on Twitch.
Right.
So I think they have like special things for
I
that.
don't think the Lions have a Thursday night game this season anyways.
Damn, I was gonna say you could just have Dave watching a Lions.
You could just hang out, watch the Lions game with me, watch me punish myself.
Yeah, watch me talk about Stafford and Calvin Johnson, Bays, and Deion Sanders. I'm just naming Lions players that existed.
Deion Sanders didn't play for the Lions.
Damn it. Barry Sanders?
Barry Sanders,
There
yes.
we go. Sanders. Whichever one retired young.
Yeah.
Was it him? Barry Sanders retired young?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. See, I know my history. Fuck the Tigers.
It's all right. I mean, your manager might have a heart attack in the dugout and they still won't fire him.
You can't kill what's already dead.
All right, that is our show for this week. So that's what we got going on. Games are coming, guys. Like I said, I'm playing Horizon. We got, like I just mentioned, we got Gotham Knights. We got God of War coming. So there's definitely some more games coming down the pipeline.
Plague Tale in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's another one. I wouldn't have wanted to get the first one done, but that came off Game Pass, and I was disappointed for a second. I'm like,
Plus.
wait, I think I have it on Plus.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's why it's good to have all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you can follow us on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. You can follow Michael at The First MJC. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. Join the Facebook group, join the Discord server, hang out and have conversations with us. Patreon.com/Digital Days Gaming. There's multiple tiers there you can join if you want to financially support us that way. That is an option. Teesprings.com/Digital Days Gaming. I don't know if that's right, but go to teesprings.com and check it out. And so if you want some shirts or some hoodies going into the fall and the winter. And other than that, I hope everyone has a great week. We will talk to you guys next week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.